First of all, I want to address the bill we passed today. It's something that needed to be addressed. It was a problem that's been growing for about 16 years or so. The cut that was put into law, it's been changed 17 times just in the last 16 or so years, making cuts to health care providers. We have caused some health care providers to retire early. The $716 billion that Obamacare took from Medicare in order to supposedly fund 30 million or so that we were told didn't have insurance. Now we've cost millions their health insurance policy they liked. And I say we, not a single Republican voted for that bill, but it has cost Americans, millions of Americans, the doctor that they wanted to use. We have seen promise after promise that was made about Obamacare that was broken, absolutely wasn't true. Then we find out that there were advisors around the White House that were advising all along they're not going to be able to keep their insurance policy. They're not going to be able to keep their doctors. Maybe we want to change the way that kind of thing is said. Did major damage and continues to do major damage to health care. So on top of that overlay, we had these ongoing cuts to the health care providers that if we didn't step in each year and temporarily pause them, it would have put so many health care providers out of business, made it extremely difficult for Americans to get the health care they need, even more than it already is, even more than Obamacare has jeopardized. So something needed to be done. My friend Dr. Mike Burgess had pushed through a fix, a remedy last year, 63 pages, very well thought out. He's a very bright, terrific doctor and a great congressman and a friend. And we've spent a lot of time this week talking about the fix to the cuts to reimbursement for physicians. And the bill today, on the good side, provide a permanent fix. If this became law, if the Senate passed what we did, it stops the slow deletion of some health care providers' efforts and work. But this provides a framework from which Medicare can be reformed for the future. But it's valued at $175 billion, and the best estimate we've gotten is that $140 billion of the $175 billion is not offset with any cuts anywhere else. This would be a straight addition of $140 billion to our children and grandchildren's enormous debt, what some refer to as intergenerational theft. It does have Henry Hyde language protecting against federal funds be used for abortion. I've always thought the world of Henry Hyde and was honored to overlap with him with 2 years. And his work in standing for the unborn children, the most innocent among us, is just an extraordinary life's work that he did. I don't know that federal funds for abortions for people on Medicare is an issue, as some might think. But anyway, the Hyde language is in there, puts it in the tax code. That's a big deal. I know some of my Democratic friends were not big on that. And there's also reauthorization for CHIP, There's the secure rural schools. Our rural schools, especially those that have national parks, have been cheated for many years from the income that they were supposed to have by giving up land they couldn't tax anymore, by giving up other sources of revenue from the land. They agreed to allow land to be used or become national forests, and they were to be reimbursed by proceeds from the sales of timber. But we have a Forest Service and an administration, and not just this one, it's been going for a while, but where production has either slowed dramatically or completely been eliminated, even though pine trees where I live are entirely renewable resource. You plant them, you're ready to harvest them in 15, 20 years. We're not talking sequoias, we're just talking a renewable resource. It's well managed in East Texas and other places around the country. But since production has stopped and we're buying so much lumber from other countries now, it's not good for America, not good for our trade imbalance, but it's been federal government policy, and it has put schools in an extremely detrimental position, especially in rural areas, especially in areas where there have been national forests. So, nice to have another Band-Aid, so to speak, to address that issue. It should have been in here. It should have been done before now. But on the other side, getting back to $140 billion that's not offset by cuts anywhere else, adding it to the intergenerational theft. And it also concerns me. You know, we had 212 Republicans today that voted for this FDR fix. It would have been so easy to have enough of an adjustment into this bill that we could add 6 more Republicans, and it would have been able to pass without any Republican leader begging for support from the Democrats, without coming to support from conservatives. We saw with the vote on DHS funding, where 167 Republicans voted against it because it didn't keep our promise to stop the illegal, unconstitutional amnesty that DHS had done as ordered by the president. And there were 75 Republicans, some of whom are very conservative, but they did vote with the Speaker on that bill and with the majority of Democrats to pass that funding. But I think that gives us an indication that out of the Republican conference, the massive portion of the Republican conference represents very conservative districts. And there are Republicans that, thank God, we have that are from more moderate areas, but somewhere between 1/4 and 1/3 perhaps. But it just seems like this is one of those bills where we'd be better off if we negotiated a deal among the Republicans and go through regular order. That's what we promised. You put us in the majority, we'll go through regular order. We'll have hearings on this entire bill. There'll be open opportunities to discuss it, to amend it, to have legislative hearings before you even do the votes on it in committee. And we didn't do that. The bill was filed 2 days ago, on the 24th. It was filed March 24th. We had a couple of days with this bill. That's not adequate for something this important. It does add some means testing for seniors. It appears very clear it's going to cause health care providers to have to add more clerical workers, people that don't do health care, they just do paperwork. So there'll be more costs. So we just didn't have a chance to adequately investigate the terminology of this bill and the long-term effects it will have on health care. It's kind of important. This also came one day after we voted for a budget. That was important to get to the point where we could have reconciliation that lets us deal with important issues like Obamacare. We passed the budget easily, and we had a number of different budgets we could vote for. I thought Tom Price did a good job of marshaling the efforts on that. But the point is, most of us were so focused on the budget through the vote yesterday that we really had one night to prepare on this SGR with the actual language that was filed on Tuesday. I was good with the 63 pages Dr. Burgess had used last year, but there were over 200 pages. I really don't know the long-term effects of what we did, and that is why, though I've been clamoring for an SGR fix, I couldn't vote for this. This isn't how we do things. We're supposed to first do no harm. We don't know what harm we may have done in that bill. We know we did some good, but we don't know what harm. We should have had more time to analyze this and take the language back to our physicians, our healthcare providers, and say, you're the one doing this. You're the one trying to save lives, enhance lives. What will this do to you? What will this language do to you? And then come back and have the vote. So I appreciate the work for those that have been spending so much time on what's often referred to as the doctor fix. Definitely needed that as another fix. This is more permanent. We don't know what the Senate will do, and that's another one of our problems.